Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Thursday, February 26th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
A chaotic and tragic scene Wednesday morning.
And this car just came out of nowhere full speed and missed me by an inch and knocked me on the ground and hit two people in front of my eyes. So I'm in total disbelief right now.
Jennifer Sackney was waiting in line for coffee outside the drop-in at Rideau and Cobourg Streets when a vehicle crashed into the building, striking 4 pedestrians.
One was under a pile of bricks and one just got hit by the car, just hit all at once. It happened so fast and it came out of nowhere from that way and it was coming really fast, the car.
A man in his 70s was killed. Paramedics say 2 other men remain in critical condition and a woman is in stable condition.
He was speeding and ran into those people, and those people line up there for coffee every day at 9.
Police would not say whether the incident was intentional or whether speed, impairment, or weather conditions played a role.
Our units are on scene, our investigators are on scene, and that will definitely be something that will be looked into and investigated.
You can tell how severe the impact was based on the extensive damage to both the vehicle and the building. The door ripped off, bricks coming tumbling down.
So what's going on now is our team took some pictures. They are coming up with a plan to shore the building, but they're letting our partners conclude their investigation, at which time police will call us back to the scene and the structural collapse team will come and shore the building.
Police say the driver was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The mayor calling the incident tragic and shocking.
For something like that to happen on the streets of Ottawa is very difficult to hear, and all of my thoughts are with the victim and his family and with the other victims who were injured.
And just moments ago, Capital City Mission, which runs the drop-in, issued a statement saying in part that something like this impacts staff, volunteers, and the people they serve. They say each of the people injured was a beloved member of their community, and they're coordinating with other agencies to ensure people in need can find support as they work to reopen their space once it's safe to do so. So, Stefan.
Yes, condolences to everyone involved and that knew that individual. CTV's Katie Griffin reporting live for us. Thank you, Katie.
Thursday's Alberta budget won't be pretty.
We've had successive governments make certain decisions that put us in a position where we've got quite a large reliance on resource revenues. It was a choice that was made because we wanted to keep our tax environment low.
But Smith's government made its own spending choices too. The Premier's office budget jumped $4.8 million last year, and $280,000 was spent on new carpet. $70 million was sunk on children's pain medication, and then more than $700,000 was the cost to destroy the unwanted expiring leftovers. Coal settlements have totaled $238 million so far, with 2 more likely to come still. $163 million in payouts to parents during the teacher strike will climb as well, and $37,000 was spent on new tableware in the government house.
There is a lack of prioritization of wants versus needs, and they have it mixed up.
The province says the spending is all needed, but it all adds up. Expenses this year are projected to climb to $79 billion, about $10 billion higher than spending under the NDP government a decade ago, even when adjusted for inflation.
They have wasted hundreds of millions, if not billions, of Albertans' dollars on their vanity projects or to line the pockets of their friends, and that's not delivering for Albertans.
While expenses are up overall, per capita spending has decreased under the United Conservatives. Adjusted to inflation and population growth, Rachel Notley's first budget spent about $700 more per person than the last Smith budget.
As ministers, we've been asked to look at our departments, look at our spending to ensure that we are maximizing the benefits of the money that we do spend.
Revenue that has fallen with oil prices lowered while spending has jumped.
The province of Alberta chose to increase spending, especially in budget 2022 and 2023, largely because royalty revenues were high. We spent a windfall. That was a choice we made. It wasn't something that was imposed on us.
Getting Alberta's world-class school system fully caught up to our recent population growth will be a multi-year effort.
Alongside her education minister, Premier Danielle Smith said today the budget will include $10.8 billion for education, which the province says is a $722 million or 7% increase over budget 2025, with more growth to come.
Over the next 3 years, education funding will reach $11.5 billion by 2028-29.
The province wants to hire 1,600 teachers and 800 support staff during the next school year. The province says that's in addition to the nearly 500 teachers it needs for 3-person complexity teams. It says more money will also go to specialized learning needs, enrollment funding for school boards, and extra dollars for addressing classroom complexities.
In the past 5 years, we've had 600,000 people move to Alberta, including 80,000 additional students. We haven't experienced anything like this in generations.
NDP education critic Amanda Chapman says while she's hopeful those teaching positions can be filled, she says many teachers' opinions of working in Alberta have been damaged by provincial disrespect and underfunding. She says many school boards are struggling to fill their complexity team positions and are pulling from their substitute teacher rosters.
That's where a school then has to rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic because there are no substitutes available.
In my 7 years as president, I have not witnessed such a significant investment into our schools.
ATA President Jason Schilling says he's happy to see the government change its stance after what he calls years of underfunding. He credits the teachers' strike that took place in October. He wants to see the 3-person classroom complexity teams expanded to include grades higher than 6 and says he'll watch the government closely to make sure it follows through.
The government has committed to providing resources. Now boards must ensure that these resources reach classrooms.
And the province says it plans to hire more than 5,000 new teachers, EAs, and support staff over the next 5 years. Education Minister Dimitris Nicolaides also said today that he expects to he will give details about specific new schools that his government plans to build in the coming days.
Dozens of protesters lined the snow-covered street outside the Nova Scotia legislature to protest the more than 900 job cuts and slashing of $130 million in social spending by the PC government. Many of the cuts were felt in the community's culture and tourism sector.
We lost our jobs for tourism at the airport.
Louise Salisbury has never protested before, but she and Eleanor Leadbeater were today. They were laid off last week when the province closed several visitor information centers, like theirs at the Halifax airport.
And we were called to a meeting, and we were just told that our jobs were gone immediately. We had to gather our stuff, get right out of the airport.
It was a shock. Salisbury said she ran into Premier Tim Houston in the airport just days before her layoff.
He asked me how tourism was going, and I said, great. And he said, keep up the good work.
Inside the legislature, Houston was grilled on the rationale for the cuts.
I didn't run for office to cut things and take things away.
Yesterday, the province released a list of those impacted by the $130 million in social spending cuts.
We're trying to focus the efficiencies, the cuts, the change, whatever you want to call them, on administration and management to protect frontline services, to protect healthcare, to protect education, to protect housing.
The cuts to jobs and social spending will save the government $304 million this year, but opposition says the list is long and many are still trying to make sense of the impact.
And these are really important to the fabric of Nova Scotia. We've had reviews in the past that saw value in keeping these programs.
As the Houston government looks to bring some balance back to the shaky fiscal situation, the cuts to government spending will continue over the next 4 years as government plans to cut $623 million in spending from next year's budget. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Oral questions by members.
A day after being scolded by the Speaker for what he called an embarrassing question period, for the most part, things were better Wednesday.
Member.
For the most part.
Members, let's not repeat from what we did yesterday. Members.
It is the opposition's job to hold the government to account, and they had a whole lot of questions about gift cards.
Will the minister commit today to cancelling the gift card giveaway scheme?
Through a Freedom of Information request, it's been revealed the NDP government bought thousands of dollars worth with taxpayer money.
And not just from your local coffee shop, but also from predominantly American companies like Amazon, Walmart, Starbucks, while the Premier touts a buy in BC policy.
The finance minister explained they were purchased as small gifts to reward public service workers for a job well done, or for people who tested new government programs or websites as a thank you for volunteering their time.
They could make more money elsewhere. It's reasonable for us to reward work of people who are serving British Columbians with such diligency.
British Columbians are being told to tighten their belts. Why does the same discipline never apply to this government?
Not buying it, the BC Conservatives pressed on, pointing to cuts in the budget and higher taxes.
I think people at home would have preferred to get a $500 grocery gift card from this government, but that was withdrawn shortly after the election as well.
The government says roughly 400 cards were bought. Most were under $50. Now, they may call them small perks, but the opposition wants the NDP to pay a political price. St. Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
There will be fewer full-time staff at Humber Polytechnic Lakeshore campus in the near future after they were offered voluntary exit packages.
Obviously, there's risks, in the sense that you could lose some really great people, institutional knowledge and capacity that's been built up.
Jessie Clark is a contract staff member and has not received this offer, but she is well aware of the financial constraints Ontario colleges are facing.
It's probably not ideal, but they're dealing with a very limited set of choices.
Despite an announcement 2 weeks ago of some $6.2 billion in investment for colleges from the province, Humber President Anne-Marie Vaughan wrote in a letter to staff that reads in part, Humber continues to navigate significant financial pressures outside of this investment, including caps on international students, rising operational costs driven by inflation, and the structural impacts of years of constrained funding. These challenges have created a growing strain on our budget. Unfortunately, we've arrived at the time when we must make more fundamental choices. Vaughan said that packages will reflect years of service to Humber.
People have been kind of caught unaware of the layoffs, so people really need to be proactive here about what this package means.
Milos Vasic is president of the Humber Faculty Union and a liberal studies professor. He says of the approximately 650 full-time staff, offers will be anywhere from 20 weeks salary to 45 weeks depending on years of service, with a 10% bonus on top. But the major concern is what will happen after packages have been rolled out.
Because everywhere else where this has been done, these exit packages, they have been the prelude to pretty significant layoffs.
Vasic points to Conestoga College in Kitchener as an example. Premier Ford was asked about this today.
No one has invested more money into colleges and university than our government, $7 billion. And we just gave them $6.2 billion over 4 years on top of the existing funding. So I wish them all the best, drive efficiencies, run it like a business, educate our kids for jobs of the future.
But some students say these changes could hurt their education.
I know there's already so many limited options for when classes can happen, when professors are available to get feedback, which affects our grades and our ability to understand the material.
Staff have until March 9th to decide if they want to take the package.
And beyond the March 9th deadline, there is also the fiscal year end, according to Milos Vasic, which is March 30th. So they are expecting an interesting month. Reporting live, I'm Sean Nethong. Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean.
With 7 months to go before Election Day, the PQ leads with 30% of voting intentions, with the Liberals close by at 27%. Those numbers from Palace data also show that 60% of Quebecers would vote no in a referendum. The leader of the Quebec Liberals, Charles Milliard, says he's ready to take charge of the no campaign.
We need to have a look at who's going to be leading the potential, even if I don't hope it's going to happen, the no side.
But it's what Finance Minister Éric Girard said that caught a lot of attention. Girard said Quebec is paying higher borrowing costs because of a potential referendum.
The impact of the uncertainty with respect to a referendum is approximately 5 basis points per year, so it is the difference between 4% and 4.05. These 5 basis points cost approximately $20 million a year.
Girard says he looked at borrowing costs of Quebec, Ontario, and BC.
Sovereignty is a political project. It's not, it's a legitimate political project, but it's not a good economic project.
PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon says Girard is not telling the truth. Instead, the PQ says the higher interest rate is caused by Quebec's budget deficit.
Can the truth prevail over lies? Can we overcome fear in Quebec to build a better future for the next generations?
The PQ is promising to surround itself with economists and business leaders heading into the next election.
To make sure that that kind of misleading statements meet some response in the civil society. So that's to come.
The Liberals lead the way with non-Francophone voters at 57%. The Conservatives are polling at 22%, up 6 points with that demographic. The PQ continues to dominate among the Francophone majority, sitting at 37% of voter intentions, as the party looks to turn its recent by-election success into a majority government in October, with its promise of a referendum that a majority of Quebecers don't seem to want. Matt Grillo, CTV News, Quebec City.
And today I've had the opportunity to meet with Ministers Wilson and Nixon, who are responsible for the Alberta model. And what that means is that individuals get help when they need it.
Sharing his story on social media from Edmonton. On the heels of his 2-day trip to Alberta, Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall learning how that province is handling the homelessness crisis and how the province is supporting municipalities.
These encampments are not really helping anybody. You get people that are basically enabling people to stay in addiction. And so what we did out here was we worked with the municipality to remove the encampments, and then we put up what we call navigation centers.
Navigation centers are similar to heart hubs in Ontario, with Alberta taking additional steps to provide support for those who need it, including a program they call recovery communities.
You can stay up to a year and it's all free. So you get in there and work in our recovery community. We've got recovery coaches work there, and we'll work with you and help you get you through your addiction.
The minister adding most recovery coaches are graduates of the programs themselves, staying to help others in need. Another innovative program Alberta has started is taking place in correctional centers for those serving less than 2 years, called Therapeutic Living Communities.
We've got somebody in general population, and they're willing to come into our treatment community there. You know, they have to sign off that they're going to follow the rules. Like, there's no swearing. You have to keep your rooms cleaned and go to therapy. Like, they start 7 in the morning till 8 at night, 7 days a week.
Wilson adding the next step in the process is getting the premiers involved across all provinces.
It's not just an Alberta problem, an Ontario problem. It's everywhere. But if we can all start working together and get that synergy going, that we can maybe start moving things along, move the dial, and help a lot of people, save some lives.
Hopefully that we can walk together hand in hand to help individuals who are in the most difficult times of their lives and restore safety, security, and comfort in our communities.
Now we're live back outside City Hall, where I briefly spoke with the mayor, and he said he's planning to take what he learned to Queen's Park, as well as other mayors around Ontario. Meanwhile, the provincial minister of mental health and addiction said he's planning to visit Barrie in the early spring, as well as planning to invite other mayors from Ontario to Alberta to keep the conversation going. Reporting live at City Hall, I'm Luke Samar. Jack, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Luke.
Just an hour after being let out of jail, police say a Windsor man convicted of intimate partner violence was back in cuffs. Thanks to a tip, they say that he was headed straight back to the victim's house in violation of a court order.
We made sure step one was to ensure the safety of the victim by removing her from her residence and that she was in a safe place.
Officers watched and waited, their concerns confirmed when the 27-year-old showed up.
We arrested him in the backyard of the residence, so before he even was even able to knock on the door.
So why was he released in the first place?
People aren't left in jail forever, so they're going to be released. That's why they are released with probation orders with strict conditions.
This all happened on Monday, and the man's now back in custody, charged with breaching his probation order, a charge investigators say has to be dealt far too often.
We did last year about 450 breaches of probation. That's just in the IPV, intimate violence world.
The power and control that's exercised through somebody who's abusive is stronger than the order not to visit or be on site or within 100 meters, and so they will not follow that restriction.
IPV, an even bigger issue. Despite Windsor police seeing a 4% drop in related calls last year, the problem remains labeled an epidemic. And advocates say the most dangerous time can be that first hour after an offender is released.
We work on safety plans with women to make sure that they have steps that they can take to maintain their own safety and security, so not being there when he's released or, calling the police when she has reason to believe he'll be on site.
The support is there. It just takes some courage to make that first phone call.
Investigators say their priority is always protecting victims first, and they want people to know help is available through local groups like Hiatus House, Police Victim Services, and the Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence Treatment Center. Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
A popular destination for shoppers.
I was here Friday and it was pretty packed. All the vendors were open, all the booths were open, they were pretty full.
The St. Jacobs Antiques Market on King Street North has more than 100 unique vendors inside, according to its website, which advertises the variety of items for sale, as well as movie prop rentals. But vendors have been told the doors will be closed temporarily starting March 1st. While the store remains open for now, customers are already seeing a difference.
I came in today and there's maybe a couple booths open. A lot of them are shut down. Half the vendors are in there packing up their stuff right now.
In emails sent to vendors shared with CTV News, the business's owner writes that the store's bank account has been frozen. It also indicates checks meant for vendors were returned. The messages say paying vendors is the priority. When reached by CTV News, management would only say the business is under restructuring and renegotiation, the struggles coming as a shock to some.
Even on Friday, I always joke around with the man because I'm always here, and he was like, okay, see you next week, and you couldn't tell anything was happening or anything was shutting down. So it's wild to see that difference in just a couple days.
In the emails to vendors, the owner says it's unclear what the long-term future holds for the business, but promises to send an update once more is known. Tony.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for that. Krista, thank you. CTV's Krista Simpson joining us live.
Since the buses were moved off Graham Avenue downtown, walk-up traffic for businesses is down.
Since the bus roads changed, we've noticed it's been slower for sure.
The move was part of the new primary transit network that went into effect last year. Blazing Chicken Shack owner Eric Saniak says customers aren't the only ones impacted. It's taking staff who use the bus longer to get to work.
But now they have to walk quite a bit to get to the restaurant. Before, we had a bus stop right in front of us.
An online survey by Probe Research done between December and January of nearly 1,400 adults showed 84% of respondents are dissatisfied with transit service to and from downtown. They say commute times are up an average of 22 minutes. Half are now finding other ways to get downtown, and 70% are visiting downtown less.
And that's a real concern for us. So it is about how do we come together on this? How do we work together? What improvements can be made?
The survey was commissioned by the Downtown Biz, who has lobbied for those improvements to the system, and it appears some are coming.
We're listening to people, we're taking the feedback, and we're making those adjustments.
Those adjustments will see a host of changes to the spring scheduled in April, plus major changes that impact downtown for the D16, D18, and D19 routes will happen in June if Council approves them. The city says the D19 changes will bring buses closer to the Winnipeg Clinic and Graham Avenue. The mayor says this is all based on customer feedback.
I've said all along that the changes, the big change we made to the primary transit network was the right decision, but I'm not pleased with the way it's rolled out. I don't think anyone is pleased. We're having to make a lot of adjustments, but we will make the adjustments.
Now, the cost to make those changes for June on those routes is estimated around $10,000.
So, Jeff, what will the spring changes to transit look like then?
The city says that service will be extended on 10 routes after midnight and more buses will be added to busier routes.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff.